I just shared a link to a free UI kit for XD that you could practice your e-commerce design on, which should help build your portfolio, especially in your Behance account, which is super important and valuable in your career. Even if it's just for freelance work or for yourself, it's always good to have a starting point where you could redesign and make things into your own. And what's nice about this one is you get desktop template, laptop template, tablet, and your phone. So it's relatively available for an app, which is also extremely important because responsive design is just where it's at. If you're not building responsive design, you're not really going to get very far. This one's pretty dope. Um, it's 100% e-commerce ready, social media ready, um, available for things like Shopify, WordPress, HTML, and Java, customizable. Not really done in Photoshop, but I guess if you really wanted to make some edits in there, you could. Product screen is pretty dope. Really, you want to make it your own. Yeah, there are guidelines you should follow just for clean classic design, and you kind of want to stay moderate with the time. And if you even notice here, it says these are most likely the pages your clients will see due to SEO, Google Ads, and other forms of target advertising. Things that you probably aren't learning in design school unless you specifically go for marketing, which I really don't understand why it's not taught that way. But, you know, then again, you do have access to LinkedIn Learning, which you could take yourself further and learn some other things in there if you really want to know. Personally, I find understanding analytics and Google Ads to be valuable outside of just, getting a client and building a website for them. Learning how to do this and how to manage it yourself. It's a 2 for 1 gig. I mean, if that's your thing, if not, you don't have to, but it doesn't hurt to learn the basics. Believe it or not, e-commerce is a huge come up, especially the way the world's going. Um, Especially right now in the pandemic, more people are shopping for things online than they are in the stores. Maybe not necessarily here in Florida, but within the rest of the country and the planet. Yeah, see, if you go right to the UI, I'm sure they're probably going to want you to sign up for something, but not really. Just download it. Boom, it's yours. Or you could just design your own in Photoshop. before I forget, I wanted to say if you're going to design for your portfolio, it's extremely important to make sure whatever you're designing for, you can use that when it comes to your product mockup. The benefit of having a product mockup, whether you decide to screen share the flow of the web design or the app design or whatever the case may be, you're going to want to put that within a mock-up so it looks really good on your portfolio if you're showing it to a client, because no matter how dope your work is, if it looks like crap, trust me, people aren't gonna they're not gonna want to deal with it. They're not gonna want it unless you're doing it for free. Then everybody's probably gonna want it, but the goal is to make money, find work, or simply better yourself, whatever that might be. So for web design, you're going to want to start with something like Web Large, which is 1920 by 1080, set up at 72 resolution, but you could easily knock that up to 240 if you want. If it's all about aesthetics, just so you know, if you're planning on using this in a CSS template, the larger the resolution, the slower your website's going to be or your app's going to be. So you want to keep that in mind. Or if you're planning for something that's big and expanded, then just being aware when you sign up for whatever hosting you sign up for, or if you decide to host it from your own computer, that bad boy is powerful. Because if not, you're just gonna deal with overflow problems, timeouts, a kick in your traffic flow, just things you don't typically want to deal with, or things that a client typically doesn't want to deal with, that could force you to be redoing labor for free, which no one wants. Then you probably lose a referral and a return client. Not that every client is worth having returned. But before I get into a hero design, probably take a look at a really good example of a UI portfolio. And if you notice here on Behance, you can browse different creative fields such as UI, UX. Let's see. What's appealing? If you notice here too, when you're first browsing on the projects, the main photo probably will scare you away or make you absolutely want to click on that project. Like this, e-commerce website streetwear by Alexandra Moisak. Hope I'm saying her name right. This is actually, so far, probably take a scroll. It's pretty dope. Um, she's giving you a mix of photography, of her UI design, her branding style, her wireframing, which right here is pretty standard. 1400 pixels wide is pretty much the standard for Behance portfolios, especially when it comes to showcasing your work. And I'll probably do a tutorial on that later and talk about that. But if you notice, like I said earlier, the average website banner is 1920 pixels wide. So you want to keep that in mind, especially when you're designing something. Maybe you want to make sure it's designed to be pretty for your website, for your Behance account, for your Dribble account, your Git, literally whatever you're displaying your work on. Instagram has their own sizing, so maybe you might want to get aware of that, which is 1080 by 1080, by the way. Pretty simple. It's just a box frame. You can use anything in that frame, but 1080 is pretty much the standard there. Yeah, but I'm digging it. I like her typography. If you notice, she stuck with one font, which is pretty standard across something like a fashion e-commerce page. Uh, Definitely stepped out of the box here with a color palette, but I like how she showcased it. It's not just the UI design. She also managed to integrate her branding concept in there. So she's got her brand guidelines alongside her wireframes, alongside her UX style and her the whatever the overall designer in her is. I like it. Check out the homepage. It's pretty much just images inside of a wireframe. Nothing too difficult, but the flow is pretty nice. It's all pretty even throughout. Widescreen displayed. Yeah, you could design things like this that shouldn't take you too long. Matter of fact, I'll probably knock one out, show you how quick you can really do this, how quick you can really add to your portfolio. Obviously, you don't want to just put something together in 30 minutes and then put it on your portfolio. It's not, that's not it. Don't do that. Yeah, I am a fan. Oh, not only did she give you the web version, she also gave you the mobile version, which makes this profile even more desirable. You honestly could get away with having one or two portfolio pieces if this is like this. If you got this much work into it, this is as valuable as something with 10, 20, 30 projects. Believe it or not. And I would assume if we went back into her overall portfolio, it'll be a similar concept of fashion e-commerce, probably a couple of other things here and there, but it gives you a pretty good idea of what she's into, um, how she labeled it. Let's see what her profile's like. Alexandra, what's up? What you got for us? See her second project, the concept of a personal website. This is the type of UI that I like, which is quite difficult to pull off because you're mostly looking at something that you would treat like a lookbook. And I guess the same could be said for a fashion website. You want to treat it like a lookbook, which is not bad, but being aware that you have that at your disposal could help you in your branding or understanding that that can work if you do it right. Because if you don't do it right, you might want to practice at that before uploading that. This is pretty cool. She used GIF to, or GIF, whatever you call it. I call it a GIF, or whatever. You could add something like this into your portfolio, into the project, which is interesting enough. She didn't add something like this before. So I'm guessing this portfolio, given by how the hero looks, is probably geared towards more of a YouTube page. Yep, it's all about her social. So this is somebody trying to build a social media presence if they don't already have one, but it'll give you an idea of how you can approach different pieces of a project. Pretty simple. I dig it. Give her a like, a thumbs up. Gotta admit, I'm really digging these Russian designers lately. Been following a lot of their work. Hmm, interesting. And we're opening up with the video. This project is by multiple owners. It's clearly a UI project. A freelance designer and an agency out of the Ukraine. What I don't like it is I am not really aware what I'm looking at from the beginning. Um, Maybe it's just a concept design for uh, a template, for a web template. It doesn't really give you an idea of exactly what it is. They just sell random projects. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with this is a template, and we can take bets on that at the end once we get to the bottom of this. Interior design. So I'm all off. I had no idea. I wouldn't have guessed. They use a pretty basic font, but basic isn't always bad. This font is still has that modern feel, and it's used a lot amongst designers. I use it a lot personally. I love it. Color scheme is pretty simple. It's just a mix of blacks, whites, and grays, which is a pretty nice color spectrum. Kind of boring, but you know, they like it. I love it. Oh, this is a nice flow chart. Big fan of this flow chart. Cool. I don't know why, but this UI design makes me think of IKEA. It's kind of basic, but like I said earlier, basic isn't always bad. Art and design are two totally different things. All designers are artists. Not all artists are designers. If that makes any sense. No shade to anybody out there who draws the most. If that's your thing, if you like to paint, you still have a place in the world of design. I just don't see many UI designers who do that as their main thing, but I love it either way. You know what? I think that I should show you guys how to make this, probably on the next tutorial. But if you see this here, this style literally shows pretty much the whole web flow, the whole UI design without whoever having to look at it in its entirety. Scrolling through, they get a good feel of it. I love this. As we went on through this project, I gotta admit I did start liking it a little bit more. It's pretty simple. It's still nice. How many? One, two, three. It's just a 3 photo project, and it managed to get 81 thumbs up and 686 views, 15 comments. Not bad numbers. I assume that if they decided to expand on this, it probably would improve a lot more. But I like it. His name is my brother Ramen, and I hope I didn't chop and screw his name, but I gotta admit I'm a fan of his work. It's from Bangladesh. Shout out to the international designers. They out here killing it. Make me want to step my game up. Back to what we were on. All right. So I don't know if a lot of you are aware, because I've noticed some of you have no idea. You have access to Adobe Stock on a massive scale. No, you can't really get videos and premium stuff. You kind of have to pay for that out of pocket. But Full Sail pays for, they pay for you to go on stock and pretty much get any image you want. So let's look up something like a car. Let's look up a car image. Let me show you how cool and how quick we can make a hero. It loads. Let's find something like this. This is pretty dope. Yeah, so you have all these free images. Like I said, if it doesn't say premium, you can download it. Editorial. And if it's for the purpose of just your portfolio and you want to use a editorial image, you can do that. I don't see the problem. Shouldn't be a problem. You're not making money from it. You're just using it as a reference. Why not? Let's see. Pick one, anyone. Also, if you haven't noticed, just regular images don't really seem to have the brand of the car. Only the editorials will have the brand of the car. They obviously do that for a good reason. So you aren't using their photos in an ad. Maybe you can take your own pictures though. It doesn't necessarily have to be an editorial, but if you're going to get it from stock, make sure you know the rules on that before you decide to plop it on a client's website. Just keep that in mind. Very important information here. Tesla. Let's rock with it. It's an editorial image. Maybe we won't rock with that. All right, let's get a little more in detail. Let's go to luxury car. Perfect. Let's download this. Let's save this to a library. For here, I'm gonna name this UI tutorial images. I'm gonna come over here, and we're just gonna open up our Photoshop. Make sure our settings are set for graphic and web. It'll give us an entirely new toolbar to play with. And you're going to want to grab your marquee tool. Just plop it right over that artboard. And the reason why we do this is so when we decide to bring in an image, it is perfectly still in there. So just open that up. Come over here, pull that down, grab your select tool, and drag and drop. Let's not do that. Okay, so now you're gonna wanna come over here, right into your layers panel, and hit on layer mask. Now we have that background image and a layer mask. And if you unlock it, you could just edit the image in itself and it not affect the layer mask. So you can kind of play with it, whatever angle you want, whatever you like. Entirely up to you, it's your design. I like that. I like it because it's completely focusing on the car, the most important part of this UI design, especially if you're doing this for your portfolio. Cool. Want to turn your lock layer back on and rename this background layer. I am a huge fan of duplicating a layer, turning one of those bad boys off, and you're going to want to go into your camera raw filter, and you're going to want to see how you can make this look good for you and make it look unique to you. You can play with the vibrance. You could even turn that bad boy down. Whatever really feels comfortable to you. I'm just gonna turn up the blacks and drop the shadows here. Play with the highlights. Want to give yourself something to work with, especially in the background, because your logo and your layer panel is typically going to go up on the top left corner. Your links, your search bar, hamburger menu, whatever the case may be, is going to go in the top right corner. There is a theory to that. Probably keep that pretty simple there. You never know though. Cool. I'm into it. Don't be afraid to find what you need in Adobe Stock. Tons of UI kits too. It's just a world of anything you want here in Adobe Stock. You can even upload your own things, whether it be your photography, your kits, your templates, whatever. You got it. Just upload it. You never know who might need it. This is perfect. It's going to license that. Save it to your library. All right. Drag and drop your layer. I'm just gonna grab this hamburger menu here. Just copy it out. Turn that background layer off. Drop the white in there. And now we have a really nice hamburger menu that took no time to make. If you need grids, which you're more than likely are going to need grids, you're going to want to go to View, New Guide Layout, and you can just play with it here. Figure out what you like. Typically, I'll do 2 rows, 12 columns. Uh, Keep the gutter pretty much where it's at. Press OK. This is a good way to figure out, are you staying inside your borders? Is this going to easily respond in different devices? How's it going to look, or whatever? So that's pretty much right on the money, right where you're going to want to keep your menu and stuff at. It is okay to be picky about your fonts, but for the purpose here, I'm going to use Helvetica. I'll probably use bold, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change my font to something simple as white. I'm just going to write Mercedes. Bring that up to 50. Open up my characters. Look at that. Set to a superscript. It's turned off. Up that to 100. And I'm pretty much right in my margins. Maybe I'll bring back a little of the gutter between the text. I mean, it looks good, but you can play with it here to make it look even better. Doesn't look bad. For lowercase fonts, I think it has a more modern feel to it. The key to a good UI design is being an awesome designer. That means stepping out the box, doing something different than anyone else. And that all comes back to how you play with things. You're gonna have to just try things out, see how it looks. That is entirely up to you. I like to really take a second to look at my UI design. It's pretty basic and pretty quick. Um, Maybe I'll turn down the opacity just a little bit, let it blend in there. Maybe I'll add a stroke, just give it some density. Maybe not that much of a stroke. That's too much. Not the hugest fan of the stroke, but that's why we play with things. See how we can make it work for ourselves. Let's just keep that bold. But for you, you might want to do something different. It's totally okay. You have to do what works for you. Here's probably where I'll put my link. So I'll just name it something silly like link one, just as a placeholder. Make that something like a regular because we already have a bold font here. We don't want to overdo it. You see how valuable our guidelines are? That really came in valuable. At least personally, I think so. Here, I think this would be a great place to put our logo. So I'll probably just set up something that says logo. Maybe we'll go find a replacement piece for that at some point. Cool, cool, cool. Um, Obviously, most people who are looking for a Mercedes are probably online, scrolling from their phone, maybe not looking on the computer, but that's all right because we could do that too. Make a mobile version. So here I'll just put on your local Mercedes dealer. Personally, I hate the font. I don't, maybe I don't necessarily hate the font. I just kind of hate how it's set up. Keep in mind, on this side of the world, we do read from left to right. So people are gonna start by looking left to right. Maybe I'll make this font something like a red. Maybe that might be a perfect red. You can take that, add on to there. You can make a button. Yeah, we don't like that. I might be a little bit too much. Buttons are cool though. They make people want to click on them, especially when it's right there in their face. Just name that button as a good place to have a placement. Placements are beautiful. At least I think so. Probably expand the button. Kind of running thin. The font look weird in there. Not the end of the world though. Let's go back to our button here. Maybe I'll make this a bit more rounded. As long as this is connected, they'll all change, so you're not forced to update them all, which is pretty dope. Maybe I'll make something down here like some sort of a search area. Maybe I'll just come up here. Maybe that might be a little too far out. That could work. Oops. It's one of my Photoshop pet peeves. Can't stand when that happens. Don't be afraid of your pen tool. Your pen tool is dope. It comes in handy. So many people despise the pen tool. I get it for good reason, just like that. Like that was a crappy pen tool. I think mostly because I see what the problem is here. See, things like that happen too. This is also another pet peeve. Why is that connected? That's completely my fault. But no harm, no foul. That's why we make new layers. Bring it on down. Figure that out. I'm not saying that this is going to come out great, but that definitely could come in handy at some point. So that bad boy shape, so we'll always have it. And we'll change that bad boy into a shape. Make it a selection. And we could add something like another image, um, give it a real feel. Colors, colors are dope. Maybe white. Maybe dumb that down a little bit. Yeah, that's not bad. I think for something like this, you might want to keep it a little bit on the lighter end of things, like spectrum. So if you were to find another Mercedes picture, just knock that in there. This is pretty perfect. It's just the interior of a car, nothing ridiculous or out of the ordinary. The more I think about it, I think it would look better if I literally just went all out and just went for the whole thing. I just select it. Huh, that's why we create paths. Don't sweat the small things, guys. This is all a learning process. Mask that layer, and we talked about mask layers. It might not be perfect, but it's a great start uh, to a potentially awesome UI design. Um, really, your UI design is what you make of it, guys. So whatever you make of it is what you're going to get from it. Let's see, what do we get from this? Let's turn these guides off. I don't think we need them anymore. Clear guides. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of despise that button. So I'm just gonna get rid of it, and I'm just gonna go to our shapes. You know what? That is why we have that UI kit. That's why we purchased that. Let's find the perfect search bar. It only has one, and it's not perfect. But you know what? You know what? Correction. They have two. Two from what I've seen. I spoke too soon. Let's grab that bad boy. I like it. Grab it in its entirety. Via layer copy. We got a new layer. I love new layers, y'all. And bye. I'm gonna change that to white so we can match my hamburger menu and the overall color scheme I've got going on here. We do a color balance. Maybe not color balance. Maybe I'll just select it. Color overlay. Why make it difficult for yourself, right? I'll drop white in there. Just select that bad boy. I would have been better off making the shape if I could think about it. But like I said, this is all learning process, how we want to make it look. And I'm going to add, I'm going to write something out. So essentially, in a real website, you'd be able to come there and change it into your zip code or whatever. And this is just a simple landing page design. Landing pages can come in handy in multiple ways. If you're going to create ads, you could just pop them out. You literally just design these things just to have different landing pages to drive traffic to your website or to essentially just make it look good. Not really sure what happened there, but like I was saying, um, you can make landing pages for multiple things, multiple times. There is no limit on how many landing pages you can make for your website or your social media, whatever the case may be. Landing pages can also come in handy for making social media banners. It's all one and the same. It's all design. You can do this. I'm excited to see what you guys have next week. Thanks for watching.